Hello YouTube, I'm David with the David West channel. Well, today I want to make up some more char cloth, and once again I want to put punkwood on the bottom, 9 or 10 pieces of denim on top, stick it in the fire. But usually I build a big fire in the stove and I have big raging flames coming out, and I set the char tin on top, because early on I found that trying to cook char cloth down in the coals makes for some brittle char cloth. But what I want to try today is not exactly 100% cooked down in the coals. I want to put this in the very bottom, go ahead and ignite my tinder bundle, throw that on there, and then throw the fuel wood in on top of it, and still get a real hot raging fire going, but the fire to be burning down towards the char tin. If you think about how it off gases when it's sitting on top of the fire, it's a whole different thing as the heat comes up and causes the bottom layers to off gas, and then the sides, and everything's working its way towards the center, but basically from the bottom up towards this vent hole. Now with it down on the bottom, it's going to start heating the pile of the pile of denim from the top, and those first gases are not going to have any resistance to coming out this vent hole. And then I also considered putting the vent hole upside down, but I don't see what advantage that would be. Let's just go ahead and do the experiment and see if we end up with even better char cloth, maybe worse or about the same. All right, let's do our standard. Some punkwood on the bottom, 12 pieces of denim on top of that, and this time, like I said, we're placing it down in the bottom of the stove. Got pine needles here processed up. Let's go ahead and do a terry cloth and wood ash fire roll to start our fire. I cut about a 1.5 inch piece by about 6 inches. And one end needs to be sort of ragged, so let me see if I can pull this off of here and make some ragged ends. That will help the end just sort of wrap up tight instead of wanting to constantly unravel. 1/2 teaspoon of ashes in the fire roll. More ashes on the bottom board. Roll it up as tight as you can get it. I'm pressing down just as hard as I can, especially on a fabric fire roll. If you don't see smoke, go back and roll it some more. All right, I'm gonna let that cook for a couple of hours until it completely cools off, and then we'll check that char out. I don't see any more smoke coming out of it. Let's go take a look at it. Let's go ahead and take it out and let it be cooling off. All right, let's see what we have. It is cooled off. A little bit of ash fell down through that vent hole and is on top. The punk wood on the very bottom has a lot of smoke residue on it. Usually punk wood does not collect, or it doesn't show the smoke residue too badly. So there must be an awful lot on this, on the punk wood. We'll try it out. And 12 pieces, stiff, stiff, stiff. Every single one of these are stiff. These are all stiff. So that is a terrible way to make char cloth, char material. Now it'll still ignite. I'll still go ahead and use it, but you always want supple char cloth. You don't want this really coarse, stiff, brittle stuff. It's not as reactive. Let's give it a try. Let's try this punk wood right here. Got 2 pieces of punk wood. Let's cast some sparks down onto it. These 2 pieces I'll save. Good charred punk wood. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see what the char cloth will do for us. There's a piece on top. Half of it is brittle and the other half is this part. This part, upper half here, is brittle. This bottom half isn't, so that's where we'll tear it. Expose threads, line both halves up directly over the top of each other. Find a good sharp place on our shirt. About right here. And go for it. Now the part that ignited is the soft and supple part. This whole thing isn't brittle. All right, now we'll get a piece of char cloth off the bottom of the stack. You might say I'm being too picky about brittle char cloth. You see, I guess you can't see that it's any less reactive, but it is. It's only slightly less reactive. But anytime I make char material, I want it to be the most reactive and the cleanest that I can possibly make. And it looks like I'll continue to put my char tin on top of a raging fire and have the flames sort of come up around it. I think that's the best way to make it. I've been practicing making char materials for 7-8 years now, and I haven't found a better way. All right, let's get a piece off the bottom of this stack. This, now that one's pretty brittle. Probably 3/4 of it is brittle. So I want to tear it at the most supple place, probably right there. And just behind that sharp edge there. Ooh, it ignited and went right back out. Again, it ignited and went right back out. So the brittleness of this piece hurt it. But as you see, there's no need to throw it away just because it's brittle. It will ignite. It will catch a spark. All right, y'all. Appreciate you joining me on this experiment. We have one more little piece of knowledge to add to our base. Thanks for joining me on this one. We'll catch you on the next one.